Yesterday, the New South Wales government announced changes to the way they deal with drug driving and medicinal cannabis users. And I initially responded quite positively to this, and that was a mistake. I got some negative feedback, which I think was fair. So I've deleted that, and I'm going to make this video instead to talk through some of the flaws in the proposal and talk more broadly about how do we react to incremental change when we want bigger things to happen. So these new changes don't remove all the restrictions on driving with THC in your system. So instead of committing an offence the first time you're caught with any THC in your system while driving, now there will be a threshold, and if you're over that limit, then you do get a couple of chances before you commit an offence. They fine you, take your licence away for a few months. This is better, still not perfect, because there is no scientific correlation, no direct correlation at least, between THC levels in your saliva and driving ability. So I'm concerned, I don't know what science the government is relying on. It would be good if they could show us this to determine the level that they've set. But the most concerning thing, I think, is they say that if you are caught with any THC in your system, even if it's not over that threshold, then you will get a 24-hour driving ban. And I just don't understand that at all. They're sort of admitting that this is going to be non-impaired drivers. And how does that work practically? You can't be a medicinal cannabis patient and expect that at any point you could lose your license for 24 hours. You can't really manage your life that way. To explain why I was positive about this initially is because so much of anti-cop is negative. It's anti-cop, right? But positivity is important too. We need to believe that things can change. And so stories of people organising to take on the police and change the way that it works, those are really valuable things. The point of anti-cop is, yes, to share factual information about the police, but equally important is spurring people to act. It does nobody any benefit to be personally anti-police. You need to organise, and so stories of that being successful are important. In this case, though, I maybe over-egged it initially. I should have put more emphasis on the very real negatives of this reform. I think this speaks to a bigger issue of how do we deal with incremental change when we want much more to happen. You know, I'm more of a revolutionary than a reformist, but some reforms do save lives, and they don't get in the way of further change. We should end drug prohibition, but there are changes that have come in place which still help people, like medicinal cannabis, or introducing supervised injecting centres, or drug checking at music festivals. So I think we should celebrate wins when they occur, otherwise we can lose hope. Problems like drug prohibition, capitalism, genocide, they can seem too big to tackle, but they are actually made up of a bunch of smaller problems that we can fix. I don't think, though, that we need to put this incremental strategy in place at the expense of talking about those bigger things. We need to be very honest about the problems with policing more broadly. So it is a balancing act. I'm not always going to get it right, but I do appreciate feedback from friends.